Let whichever of your knights is boldest of blood and wildest of hearts step forth. Take up arms, and try with honour to land a blow against me. Whomsoever nicks me shall lay claim to this my arm.
Welcome to the final episode of Movie Night Adventure. We've had quite the journey, traveled across many universes, and now sit waiting for our algorithmic reward. It's fitting that our final episode is the oldest story adapted into the newest film. We are talking about David Lowery's The Green Knight, which came out in 2021, but got lost in the pandemic fray and snubbed at the Oscars. The Green Knight is a 14th century poem written in Middle English as part of the Arthurian canon. It tells the story of Sir Gawain, a knight of Arthur's Round Table and Arthur's nephew, who takes up a challenge of a mysterious Green Knight to strike him with an axe in exchange for a blow in 1 year. Whoever takes the Green Knight's deal will get to keep his battle axe. Sir Gawain takes up the challenge of this Green Knight's game and beheads him in Arthur's court. Expecting the Green Knight to fall dead, he is surprised when the Green Knight picks up his head and tells the court that he expects to see Sir Gawain in 1 year at the Green Chapel for his return blow.
1 year hence.
As these are the days of the chivalric code, Sir Gawain is expected to go meet the Green Knight and fulfill the great bargain. He rides off to meet his fate, getting into many unspecified adventures until he finally reaches a castle. The lord of the castle allows Gawain to stay and rest in exchange for another deal.
I hunt tomorrow and the day after. Whatever the forest offers me, I will bring you home the best. And you will give me, in turn, whatever you might receive here.
Dude, stop taking these deals. This turns into a slightly homoerotic Arthurian fantasy, as the lord's wife tries to seduce Gawain, and he trades kisses for food. Because of the chivalric code, Gawain refuses the ring that the lord's wife tries to give him. However, he breaks the deal by keeping a silk sash the lord's wife says will protect him from physical harm. Finally confronting the Green Knight, Gawain flinches, expecting to lose his head, and is chastised by the Green Knight. Gawain tells the Green Knight to do it, and receives only a slight cut, which was because he kept the sash. The Green Knight starts laughing and explains this was all a trick from Morgan Le Fay to test Arthur's knights. The Green Knight has had several translations, including from J.R.R. Tolkien, who said that Sir Gawain was the hardest character to interpret. Scholars have also sought to interpret the color green, which often has contradictory meanings. It can mean fertility and rebirth, but also evil and witchcraft, and misfortune and death.
Why is it green, do you think?
Your knight?
Yes. Was he born that way?
Perhaps it is the color of his blood when he blushes.
But why green? Why not blue? Or red?
Central to the theme of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is the chivalric code and temptation. Knight has been adapted multiple times for film, opera, and theater. Most notably, before David Lowery, it was adapted twice by the British filmmaker Stephen Weeks. First, as a straightforward 1973 live-action adaptation, and then as a 1984 version called The Sword of the Valiant, which featured Sean Connery as the Green Knight.
Just as every green shoot of spring returns at last to the earth from which it woke to life, so return I.
The Green Knight also appears briefly in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. David Lowery wanted to create his version of a medieval Arthurian fantasy, a story of a knight on a horse.
I grew up just loving the Arthurian legends and all the stories of the knights and their quests. And at some point, a couple years ago, I kind of felt like making a fantasy film. I really love movies like Willow and Excalibur, and I just wanted to make one of my own. And I remembered this poem, I remembered this story, and thought that it would make an excellent template for my own take on a medieval quest film.
He cast Dev Patel because he saw his Gawain as flawed and unlikable, but still wanted a hero that people could root for.
Are you real or are you a spirit?
What is the difference? Just need my head.
Lowery's version of the story is far more psychological. We are with Dev Patel all the time, unsure of what is real and what is in his mind. Lowery fills in implied gaps in the Arthurian poem. Gawain has encounters with Saint Winifred, a Welsh martyr who was beheaded in the 7th century.
This lord sought to lay with me. I fought him off, but he returned in the night and broke down my door. I tried to flee, but he cut off my head.
Gawain's relatable doubt and cowardice is reinforced when he is robbed by some random teenage scavengers. Gawain is Arthur's nephew, but not by Arthur's stepsister Morgan Le Fay. However, in this adaptation, Gawain's mother and Morgan Le Fay are turned into the same unnamed character.
But his mother's a witch!
After writing a much less ambiguous and more faithful ending, Lowery decided to scrap it and make the ending more ambiguous. That might be just as well, as this well-trodden psychological journey feels far more intriguing when it's open-ended.
There. Now I'm ready. I'm ready now.
Anyway, before I introduce the panel, let me say, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Also, we are now monetized, so if you have any pressing questions during this live show, send us a super chat. We are absolutely obligated by international law, human rights law, to answer it. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. All of our after parties are available on there forever. Okay, let me introduce the panel. J. Andrew World, illustrator, book cover artist, comic designer, and artist for Give Them an Argument, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza and Bad Takes. Conan Neutron, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, host of Britonic Reversal, and frontman for Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. Kristina Oakes, when she's not dog-sitting, you can find her streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/cosmopolitics. You can find her on Twitter and Instagram at @cosmopolitics. Throw her some subs on Twitch. Amanda Feriante, co-host of These Are Bad Movies. I, of course, am your host, Forrest Miller, wandering Ronin of the podcast panel and samurai of the clip-cutting school. Without further ado, let's get started. You're muted.
You're muted.
Can you imagine if it was Green Knight, just as it was right now, but with Sean Connery instead of Dev Patel in the role?
Sean Connery. Makes me sound more Scottish when I talk like that.
You know, I don't think it would be as good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in.
Well,
yeah,
so they had him as the Green Knight, and I like that in the Stephen Weeks version of it, they just kill off the Green Knight at the end.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, let's change up the story all the way. It's not just a trick. Like, let's just fucking kill Sean Connery and make him have like the most dramatic death, where he's like, you know, as the roots return to the ground, shall return I.
I mean, what's interesting is that we're all familiar with King Arthur and the Knights of the Round
Who?
Table, but we don't really know like the
Is
Green
that an
Knights.
NPR show? The Knights of the Round.
Huh?
I says that an NPR show.
But like the Green Knight's really not a character that gets that much attention unless you're really deep into
Well, he's
like
not
King
part
Arthur
of the
lore.
Round Table.
Yeah, he's an adjunct member. He's a he's
Yeah.
an
He's the
aspiring.
monster of the week.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like a generation hence, right? Like the Gawain is happening. I mean, like in the in the story too. Like he's the next generation after King Arthur.
Yeah,
Like,
he kind of
he's
missed
the,
all the cool stuff. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like
He
if
missed
by
all the
cool
good
stuff
Monty
you mean
Python stuff.
like all the good warring.
They had actual horses by then. They stopped using coconuts and banging them together. They could actually afford horses in the.
Just wasn't the same.
But yeah,
I do think he was part of the Round Table, though.
Gawain,
Wasn't
yeah,
he?
but like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the late Round Table, right? Like he's part of the Round Table. Like the Round Table's been around for a while, and they're just adding people. It's like the Avengers at some point.
Let's let
Like,
anybody in at that point. They let in Ant-Man.
They're just swapping people. They're swapping people in and out. You know what I mean? Like, and he's kind of part of that generation of it.
Yeah.
Which is what makes the beginning of this so awesome when they're like telling like, oh, there was so many brave knights and it was so awesome. Yeah, that's not who we're talking about though.
Yeah,
we're talking about we're talking about his fail nephew. Like,
well, and that's kind of what this is all about, right? This film's kind of all about him trying to prove himself in a time where it's difficult to prove himself, and then kind of getting in his own way, tripping in his own dick, almost literally sometimes, and confusing goodness for greatness and trying to be great while really being kind of terrible. Like he's like the worst knight. Like it's like, you're bad at this, man. You're like real bad. You're real bad at being a knight.
Yeah.
Not the best, and
To
he's
that
not good
point-
at deals. He should have had Trump helping him out. He should have had the art of the deal. He just keeps taking deals that are not necessarily great deals. The second time, he doesn't even verbally agree to the deal. It just kind of happens, and then he reneges on the deal, which you never want to do. They'll take you to court.
Trying to negotiate with the girl to get the head. You get her head back.
And then she's like, "Yeah, you don't negotiate with me." And he's like, "Okay, let me just get your head for you."
We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Well, but to treat what's obviously an absurd framing as on the face of it, like he's a knight. You're supposed to do good deeds, idiot. Like go get her head, man. He ain't asking you for like the moon. Go get it.
Well, I also like the interplay of like, he like by all accounts and purposes, I'm pretty much in the sea as a knight, but he's not officially a knight. And I like that everyone's constantly like, this isn't the stab correction. I like that everyone's constantly belittling him for not quite being a knight yet.
Yeah.
Like, he comes too quick.
Well, because he's trying to coast on it.
Yeah. Well, and then he gets songs sung about him, like, oh, he chopped off the head of the Green Knight and this and that. And, oh, isn't he great? But like, he hasn't earned any of it, and he knows he hasn't earned any of it. So like, it doesn't ring true for him. So he's constantly got this imposter complex going on, which, as it turns out, is appropriate. And it kind of drives his entire being. Like, look when young Barry, how do you say that actor's last name? The kid,
Young
who's amazing in Banshees of Inisherin. He's a great actor. I don't know his last name, but
He
like
kind of like he looks like a medieval Nathan Robinson.
He is fantastic, but he like asked him like he basically challenged him like, oh, are you? He's like sitting around like playing in the battlefield as one does when there's no entertainment to happen, and is like, oh, are you a knight? And he doesn't actually say he's a knight. He kind of like tries to like play it on the DL, and then clearly like asks for a kindness of gold, right? And then he kind of begrudgingly gives that to him, and then he gets rolled by this kid and his friends. Which is deeply hilarious because like, oh, you're some knight. Yeah, I got like these kids got the better of you, dude. Come on, like, get it together. You had an enchanted shield, and you still got rolled by some teenagers. Like, what
he also has
the
sash. I mean, he has the sash early on too, right? The mother gives him the sash in the beginning. They're like, oh, no harm's gonna come to you. Well, clearly that was fucking shit. That was like,
yeah. Well, it's not gonna stop you getting tied up and left for dead. I mean, like, like you got outsmarted again by like people like the roughest high school in Sherwood or whatever, like, okay. But it's kind of like what makes this awesome because you never see that. And like what I was saying earlier is that like, you think about these Arthurian legends, the classics like Excalibur and stuff like that, where everything's like shiny and pretty and whatever. Everything is jacked up in this England. Like everything looks terrible. Everyone looks miserable. They're like
Yeah.
dirty. They're poor. Everyone's in a bad mood. I'm like, yeah, where's this Arthurian legend? Even King Arthur and what's her name?
Guinevere.
Guinevere. They look like shit. They're old. They're tired. They don't have time for this bullshit either. Everyone like looks awful. I love it. Like it's because we've never seen that, right? And like
it's funny that the actual like legend of like the death of King Arthur or whatever, like he dies bravely in battle or whatever. This version of it, he looks like he just has hepatitis and kind of passes away from that.
It was a battle with hepatitis.
Right, it was quite the battle. Yeah, it was a pitch battle.
Yeah.
And like Barry's character, the unnamed scamp vagabond, just random teenager that rolls him.
Oliver Twist's great grandfather.
Like he's talking about how like, you know, oh, I heard that Arthur came down and vanquished like, you know, this many hundreds of people. I'm like, I'm sorry, that Arthur, the one we just thought was having trouble lifting the sword up. Yeah, I kind of doubt it. I'm inclined to doubt it. But that's the point, because that's the thing of legends, right? Because legends are not necessarily statements of truth; they're stories, and that's and what I like about Dev Patel's portrayal of Gawain is that like he wants to be a legend like the other legends, and is so obsessed with that he's not even concerned with being a good person, being what ostensibly a knight is supposed to be, which is
and when he gets
good,
asked, like,
a good person.
But when he gets asked, things. Like, if that's really what he wants, he can't even really answer that. That's really, you know what I mean? He's like, exactly. I think honor, like, and he's like, are you asking me? Like, are you
yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the point of the movie, right? Is that he's just like completely unprepared for this, what has been thrust upon him, so to speak, and it's notable because he's bad at it, and like he's bad at it because he doesn't believe it. And he doesn't believe it to know, like, kind of like there's sort of like this sort of like, not that other people don't as well, but people are like, something's up with this dude. And like he's constantly getting challenged about it in various ways. But it's cool because you never see that. Any of these, like, you know, knightly people doing knightly things running around, like with the exception of, honestly, and I'm being dead serious here, Holy Grail. What other shitty knight movies can you think of that are like, wow, that knight's terrible. He's not very good at his job.
So
there aren't that many.
So Joel Edgerton, the guy that plays the Lord of the Castle or whatever,
great. Yeah.
17 years before this, he was Gawain in King Arthur, the one that they did with Clive Owen, like the guy that was in Children of Men. Or
yeah.
So he was so he played King Arthur, and old Uncle Owen over there played Gawain in that. But it's like
that's kind of awesome.
It's like a face value TV movie version of King Arthur and his knights, like that everyone was like really, really overly serious about themselves in, I guess. And he's like, yeah, it couldn't be like, I think his quote exactly on it was like, oh, that would be in like a different part of the library if you were going in to look at the King Arthur.
That's in the addendum. That's a different volume. Yeah.
But so I found they had a making of thing that I found really interesting. That I wanted to play, like a few clips of it, I guess.
Making of an enchanted belt. No, we'll get banned. It's XXX.
So I guess I'll start with the first one. This is talking about them shooting it in Ireland. It's kind of and constructing the round table. It's kind of fascinating.
By the way, that dude, like the guy that just is being hung at like the crossroads there, that sucks. Sucks to be that guy.
Yes.
I mean,
I'm the guy that's in a cage at the crossroads. Whatever.
It sucks to be most people, I feel like, in this time. You know what I mean? Like there's including the knights, like, because like knights are very expendable, and which is like the thing about, I guess the other time that you really get to see that is Camelot, like the musical version of it, when all those knights are just fucking challenging Lancelot, and he just like
smoking him.
All those people have to have a long like storied career with King Arthur, and they're just done in by like one fucking joust, like.
Exactly. You're like the red shirt in the Star Trek of what's happening.
Largely in Wicklow, Ireland, and I just can't say enough about that country and how fun and beautiful and what an embarrassment of riches it offered us for landscapes and for weather and castles after castle. It's just incredible. It's hard to point a camera in the wrong direction.
And in spite of the difficulty of making the movie, it really was a challenge. It was an arduous film to make. it was also a pleasure because of where we were making it and the people we were making it with. And also, I just love the history there. Not only the Irish history, but the cinematic history. We shot in County Wicklow, where John Boorman made Excalibur, and where Stanley Kubrick made Barry Lyndon. And so we'd go to these locations that, you know, I've seen in these movies that I grew up with, and just feel not only the natural history and the world history, but also the cinematic history there. I felt that, you know, our film benefited from that. I love knowing that we were shooting an adjunct Arthurian tale in the same locations that John Boorman shot Excalibur. But we still wound up having to build a lot of things and really had to stretch our budget. Our producers really helped us with that, and like figuring out ways in which we could get our sets built with the grandeur that we had in mind, in spite of the budgetary restraints.
This is the Great Hall model.
Who designed this thing?
It was a combination of myself and amazing Coleman over there, who is as you can see, still working on it. Our amazing set designer, Trasman. He really carries the brunt of the weight on that one. He brought the vision to life, but there it is. It's very beautiful. Very excited. Let's go look at it.
I've made almost every film to date with Jade Healy, my production designer, and at this point, I basically credit her as my co-director. She's my co-pilot every step of the way.
This is the Great Hall, which you just saw the model for. So yeah, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be huge. It's very exciting.
We'll be in here for 7 days at the very last week of the shoot. This is where like the round table will be in here. And ultimately this set will go all the way to the soundstage doors and then open up and continue outside the stage so a horse can gallop all the way down to the end and out.
I never thought I'd get to build something this big when I read the script. I mean, in my wildest dreams that I think we get to build this. So it's exactly as I wanted it to be. It's kind of overwhelming. I'm sure when I watch it on the monitor tomorrow, I'll probably cry tears of joy, hopefully.
All right, let's rehearse. I've always wanted to ride a horse inside. That's a dream of mine. So I'm very jealous.
That's what you got out of it. Oh, you rode a horse inside. It's great.
I feel like you could get some you could run a hotel where like the gimmick is like, we'll let you run a horse, like ride a horse inside for an extra fee. And I feel like you could get you know, some weirdos in there, but
wait till you see Banshees of Inisherin. That's all I gotta say.
Nothing but horses being ridden inside.
There's a lot of animals inside, and I'm not kidding about that.
Inisherin, like in the side, and the yeah.
Sure. So it's gorgeous. Like the location's freaking beautiful. I mean, like it's hard to argue with like the pastoral beauty of doing something like this ostensibly on set, right? I mean,
I wish Ireland was real. You know.
You know, the colors are amazing. The cinematography is fantastic. It's kind of crazy weird that it got snubbed even for like those technical awards at the Oscars, like just ignored completely. All on note this year. It's like
I wonder how it would have done if the pandemic wasn't happening, because this feels like one of those movies that they really sold to people as like, oh, this should be like one of the first movies you see like in a theater. But it was like early on. Because I remember I was in Burlington when this movie came out and everyone was talking about it, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to like go inside to a theater yet and like, you know, expose myself to people for that long
and see a movie extensively about death.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, you know, the early days of the pandemic.
If you know that going into it.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it in the theater.
I knew someone came on themselves into it. That's all I really knew going into it.
So you know the important parts. That's good. Yeah. Amanda, when did you see it in the theater?
I did, yes. I went and saw it with my co-host Amy because we were planning to do an episode on it because it's the Green Knight. Yeah. And that was all we knew about it. And so we're watching that and it's like beautiful and really interesting. And then, you know, there's the scene and we're both like, we're being forced to watch this right now. This is a joke on the audience, which as far as jokes in movies go, one of my favorite. But ended up not even doing an episode because we decided, you know, it's actually just a good movie. It handles it well. It's just good. Can't do an
And
episode on that.
You can't do an episode of it because it's in the movie. It's in the name of your show, right? Yeah.
I know, exactly. We try to only do bad movies.
I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think was the first one back, if I remember right. But I saw this shortly afterwards, and I mean, I was blown away. Visually, it's just absolutely stunning.
Mhm.
And then I was also blown away by the fact that apparently no one else saw it. I'm like, did anyone see this freaking movie? It's awesome. Like, what's wrong with you?
I mean, I definitely like had multiple friends that are like, oh, you should go see this. This is really good. Like,
yeah,
it just was the wrong time, you know, during the.
I think if it had come out later in the year, I think maybe it would have played better, because I think there's also something about people forget, right? I mean, because Nope I loved as well, but Nope came out really early in the year, and you know, as people forget, yeah, and also completely snubbed, like in every way, shape, and form.
Well, so that's talking about this. I'm thinking back. I'm like, it was. Maybe I showed up to the only viewing that was full, but very distinctly, I remember sitting in like the second from the front row, which I would never do,
right?
Because everything else was taken. But with Nope, again, it was a weeknight, which is going to be a totally different deal. It was just me and my two friends watching it, which was a really fun experience. But Green Knight, at least when we were going to see it, was booked out.
I feel like that's how I saw that Al Gore movie.
Everybody got to see the large cum rag together, you know.
Exactly.
It's really it's a communal experience.
It was definitely something.
So I've seen this a couple times now, and I realize I got so wrapped up in like kind of like the visuals of it the first time that I kind of the Morghese and like her coven and like their whole going ons and like their motivations. I kind of missed some of that the first go around, where it's like, oh, interesting, because when you talk about like the lady of the manor, right, who's very clearly something's going on with her, and it's got a lot to do with Morghese and her coven of witches and what they're trying to do to or for Gwen. I mean, Alicia Vikander, is how you say her last name? She was in Ex Machina.
Yeah.
She's in a bunch of stuff. She plays both roles. She plays Essel and the lady. So it's very clear, like, if that's not an accident, where it's like, oh no, she looks. But again, because Essel's a peasant, he can't marry a peasant. So, you know, like there's that whole thing going on
beneath him.
It's beneath, and she has, I think, what to me on this recent rewatch was one of those poignant things of like, you know, why must you aspire to greatness? Is it not enough to for goodness, or whatever it is? I can't remember the exact quote, but like that's an important thing, because remember, Gawain being kind of like the younger part of King Arthur's table. He's one of Arthur's sons, but like kind of like trying to prove himself, like really bad, kind of fail son style in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's caught up in the idea of what he should be, that he forgets to, like, again, when the chick's like, hey, can you go get my head, please? Enough with this third degree. Like, I need someone to get my head. Can you get my head? Is that a thing you can do? Do I need to get another night? What's happening here? Like, yeah, I mean, like, it's a perfect example where like it's not his instinct to do.
Get to it, man.
Yeah,
You have a
chop,
job.
chop. Let's
You have
go.
one job.
You're the one that got rolled by
He's
some
trying
teenagers,
to
right?
chat with her. He's like,
Yeah,
oh, I relate to that because I also might lose my head. And she's like, dude, can you just go get my fucking head? I've been waiting for my head since like 500 AD. Like,
can you just go get it, please? Like, I you know, like, I can ask those teenagers that stole your crap if you want. Like, maybe they'll do a better job of it. But the fact that it does not come instinctually to him, because again, he's tied up with the idea of living up to this ideal and being great, that he forgets to be good often enough. So it's awesome that that Essel's character kind of calls him out on that early on, right? And just think where she's like, you know, like I don't know, like when you puppet mouth a person, I do with my cat too, but like when you make them say the thing that like you want them to say, like she's actually one of the more interesting characters, because you got to really get a handle on, like, she's got a better handle on him than he has a handle on himself, frankly, as far as his own sense of like what the problem
I find it fascinating that when he's doing like the flash forward, right, like what would happen if he just dipped, and like he didn't live up to it, and kind of, which you can kind of assume from Arthur's character, maybe he did kind of too, like his legend is probably not the full legend of it, because like the guy's like clearly sickly.
Yeah, he probably
And-
wasn't smoking fools in that field that Barry was hanging out in, just like, you know, chilling in the battlefield like you do when you're a kid.
So the flash forward, right? Like he dips out on her because he doesn't have the courage to say like, "Hey, I love this peasant woman," and then finds some noble who does not like him, and he kind of just takes the kid, and the kid like he can't protect the kid, so the kid dies. So it's like this slippery slope. Like if you kind of create this foundational legend on like a, you know, on this first lie, like it's just gonna be like you're just never gonna live up to anything, right? Like there's never gonna be a real legend about you. Everyone's just gonna end up hating you.
Yeah.
And they're gonna want, and somewhere down the line, you still have to pay the fucking, you know, pay the piper and get your head cut off.
Yeah. But before that, you're gonna get your ass kicked by some teenagers who are gonna steal your enchanted stuff too. So.
Yeah.
So the thing that stood out to me about his character was just the key thing: he sucks. Like his attitude in his relationship, his attitude towards knighthood and the people, his attitude towards, you know, the bargain with the lady. All of it, he sucks. That is the main through line with Gawain. Is this guy is just the worst, and the only reason anyone's putting up with him is because he's King Arthur's nephew.
And still they're barely putting, like they're not really putting up with him.
Yeah.
Like nobody like he sucks enough that like even the guy in the bar is like, your mom's a witch. Like they're like, they wouldn't say that shit to King Arthur. I it's really interesting though that you know, they cast Dev Patel specifically because they wanted someone that sucked for this character but was like lovable enough that they could kind of walk that line.
Yeah, he's got some charisma, right? He's not like a charisma boy like
he's got the riz.
Yeah. By the way, most of the letterbox reviews, I swear, like 90% of them is just Dev thirst posting. I swear, like just
even
like
though
he's definitely he's had a glow up to Slumdog Millionaire, that's for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I also want to point out that he both can't get it up and comes too quick. Like he has both problems.
He sucks.
Yeah, like
the entire time he just sucks. That is the defining characteristic.
His peasant girlfriend just making fun of him for not being able to get it up. She's like, slayer of melons, you know, guy who capped the head, who can't get it up. And he just he doesn't react to that. And then he finally gets his fucking hand job and he's like 5 seconds later. It's like in both cases, he has both extremes as an issue, I think.
Yeah.
Probably it was very common back in those days.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like an outlier in the film. Like everyone seems to be like, this guy.
Well, everyone has so much there's just nothing else going on. Everyone just fucking in Camelot, and he's the one guy that's like, I can't, you know, I'm not getting any better at this.
Not any better at that as he is at anything else, really. I mean,
it has a very Don Quixote feel to it too, like the you know, like the legend of like wanting to aspire to that knighthood and almost like chasing the windmills. Like you don't know how much of this shit's going on in his head. Like the giants at that point, he like takes the
that's
fucking...
a good point. Yeah. So is that because it's like him and the fox? Like, I by the way, you gotta love it when you're hanging out with your animal friend and you both said to go tripping together. That's always a good idea. But like, is it for real? Is that happening? Is it in his head? It almost doesn't matter because he chickens out on that too. He's like, hey, can you carry me over to this place? And they're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Like, whoa, no, I don't want that. Never mind. Where it's like, oh, come on, dude.
Well, I might
so I actually just looked that up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, what were you saying, Forrest?
No, I said, I might still be tripping. I don't know if I want to.
Would suck to fall from
so,
like 60 stories because you're tripping. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
But if he were really a brave knight, he'd try it.
Exactly.
But
I'm not a brave knight, and I would fucking try it. Like
true knight's party.
Yeah. But I actually had to look it up to see who played, you know, like the forefront giant, because I've only been able to see it the once because you have to sign up for some obscure streaming services to watch it, which is super lame.
Really, I got a free trial on YouTube of I think it's Showtime or something. They gave me a week trial and you can watch it for free.
An obscure streaming service.
You press one button. It says, "Would you like a free trial?" And you say, "Yeah."
I don't want to give anything my credit card information unless it's not obscure. But I had to look up who was playing the giants because they looked so much to me like Essel. And
sure.
Like,
okay.
Watching that scene, I read it very much as like, yeah, this is just how he is towards people. Like he cannot be functional in a relationship because he's always holding himself back.
Well, he's an Asperger's
So, like,
mate. I mean, you know, he's just
he's a what?
he has a touch of autism, and he makes him a little standoffish towards other people.
No, I think he's just an ass.
That too.
Those two could be separate circles.
He's
man.
got astism,
Like-
actually, as it turns out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there can be overlap in that Venn diagram, but I don't think one means the other. Just reading that comment.
I must give the medieval hand job.
Because there's no lube back then.
It's
Andy World, everybody. There he is.
The Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition bursts into your house, and they're like, you have been disloyal. Bring out the medieval hand job, and it's some guy with night hands, like he has the fucking armor on his hands. And you're like, no,
dry and chapped.
Forrest, normally I support fan fiction, but you should really keep your kink to yourself. Like, it's not appropriate to share.
I have an armor kink. What can I say? Just want to get pummeled by armor.
So the fox, that's an interesting character.
What does the fox say?
Hey, I have a fox clip.
Oh, fantastic. We should play it immediately.
Medieval hand job.
Lord Bertilac, who's the character that Joel plays, sends Gawain on his way on Christmas Eve with a servant who will guide him to the river that will lead him to the Green Chapel. And that servant plays a very important role in the film, in that he tells Gawain that if he were to flee in that moment, if he were to not complete his journey, he would not tell a soul, that the secret would be safe with him.
I know what I face.
If any man truly knew, he would bear his shame happily and turn away, head held high, to end his song as he saw fit. His secret would be safe with me.
He gives him the opportunity to indulge in cowardice, to just go home. So it's a very important part. And yet at that juncture of the story in the movie, I didn't want to introduce a new character. I didn't want to bring a new character into the fold. And one of the other key tenets of the text are these hunting scenes.
When I dispatched of it, I thought, what a gift. What a gift for my new friend.
These scenes where the Lord goes on a hunt, and he hunts a boar, and he hunts an elk. And we didn't have, the structure of the film didn't allow us to include those hunting scenes, because I wanted the whole film to be told from Sir Gawain's perspective. And in the poem, those scenes are intercut with the lady's seduction. You see these really detailed and really magnificent and action-packed hunting scenes intercut with the seduction that's happening on back at the castle. I never wanted to leave the castle narratively. We wanted the story to be told from Gawain's point of view, and yet I wanted to allude to that hunt. And so I decided to bring the fox in as, one of the gifts that the Lord gives to Gawain, which is from the text, and just make that the servant character. We are making a fantasy film, after all, one in which it would not be out of place for an animal to talk. And I'm also a big fan of both Wes Anderson's The Fantastic Mr. Fox and Lars von Trier's Antichrist. And I wanted to kind of contribute my part to the talking fox lexicon in movie history.
Can't believe this cave is real and we get to shoot here.
How did that happen?
How did you find it?
Google Maps.
Did you really, honest?
Our production designer, Jade.
I love that. Google Maps. That's how you find your
Fox
location.
is giving the Gollum vibes to me.
Give that fox a lodging.
Yeah, exactly.
Raspy fox. You're not wrong about that.
I relate to it though as someone that has a dog that kind of just follows them around.
If I remember right, I think that's David Lurie, the director, voicing the fox. If I remember correctly. I don't know why I know that, but I'm pretty sure it is.
It does sound like his voice.
Thank you. You're welcome. And now you know that, and you can't unknow that. I like the fox a lot, and it's interesting with as much wild stuff's going on in this film, Like, oh yeah, there's like a talking animal in this movie, isn't there? Like, I forgot about that. Yeah, that fox, like, because you see them and they're just like chilling, you know, they're doing some drugs together, like running around, like having a good old time. And then he's like, hey man, you can just bail. Like, you don't have to do this.
Everyone's literally giving him like the best advice, and he's like, "No,
like, no, it's
I got
terrible
this."
deal. Never would have taken it. I would have gone home. I would have turned around. I would have listened to Fox.
Yeah, but
it does sort of illustrate how every time he's given a choice, he just bungles it.
He really does. He consistently like blows it every time. It's kind of impressive almost. It's like just whatever he's doing, do the opposite of it, and you'll be fine.
which makes
It's down
the
to
flash
that
forward.
key characteristic.
But it makes the flash forward really incredible because you get to see just what like another like 60 or 50 years of bad decision making would do.
Oh yeah, and he's basically George W. Bush, right? He's like
Yeah.
sitting there like, why am I here? Like, all right, fine, yeah, I guess I'm the king. All right.
Everybody's pounding at the gate, and he's like just sitting there, fucking shell shocked, like.
Kind of sucks how these people are fading me, but all right, here we are. You know, he's a horrible king too.
Well, doesn't that sort of flash forward alternate future also show him like in his cowardice letting his kid die?
Yeah.
Right?
He
Like,
stayed at the castle.
Every opportunity.
Piece of
Yeah,
shit.
every opportunity he has to like be in a good relationship, he's choosing that selfishness and cowardice and just blowing it.
Well,
I'm real busy being the worst right now. I just can't. I'm sorry.
Well, that makes it that crossroads,
surprise.
right? Like that crossroads at the end where he sits there and like he can either throw away the fucking shroud and go, you know what, I'm gonna take this chance and I'm gonna actually like, you know, well, number one, the shroud probably still has come on it, but he throws away the shroud and he's like, I'm gonna like this is my moment. Like I either did this for nothing and came all the way out here and like I'm at the end of my quest, I'm gonna bail on it. Or I can actually like get down on my knees and see what happens.
Do the honorable thing. Do the knightly thing.
You said that.
That's phrasing. But yeah, have
the Green Knight's like don't you want to be a star? And
but you would be doing the valorous thing, doing the thing that whether or not it augurs well for him, which it does not, to be clear, that it would be the thing that an honorable person would do. Because that's like the agreement, such as it is. And yeah, and then you see him like first flinch and then like kind of like try to haul ass out of there a little bit, and then the Green Knight's like gives him kind of like the equivalent of like a do WTF that kind of thing. But one of my favorite things is it was like what he asks him like, is that all there is? Like, did you expect more? I was like, oh.
And the real, I think the real version of the story, right? Like the poem, doesn't have the flash forward, obviously, but I guess he just kind of gets chastised by the Green Knight, and he's like, "Bro, what the fuck? Like I didn't flinch," and he kind of just gets bitched out by the Green Knight, and he's like, "Okay,
get your ass out of
do
here,"
it," and like throws away the shroud, and then the Green Knight's like, "Gotcha."
Well, so it's a change. It's a change to the poem,
show.
but it's left ambiguous as because you're kind of like, because what does he say? Do you guys remember what he said? He says, "Okay, I'm ready." Right, and so that has a lot of connotations.
Which is really easy to take back.
Right, but you think about like
he could have grown, or it could be exactly the same.
He said he was ready the time before that too, and then he was like, "No, wait, not ready," and then he's like, "Okay, I'm ready." So yeah,
but there's something about think about everything that he's gone up to at that point. Right, everything that he's avoided, everything that he's done poorly, everything that he's tried to aspire to. Again, aspiring to be great and failing to be good. That like, okay, I'm ready.
Robbed.
Every time he got rolled by some teenagers in a random field. But it's meant to be, and a lot of people were annoyed by the ending, where you're kind of like, okay, I guess he could have gotten his head chopped off, or maybe the Green Knight swung and purposefully missed, but like it's left ambiguous. I like that though, because I think it's sort of like, well, you know, it's like it brings it on the audience. What do you think? Do you think he grew? Do you think like he's proved himself valorous? Yeah, probably not. I mean, like from a sheer numbers game, probably he didn't.
I don't think he's grown, but I think he follows through the last time. And I think maybe you're supposed to think like, well, it's the first day of the rest of your life, I guess. Like you've survived here, and now you can start making some good choices, maybe. Like
yeah, exactly. So, but that's a derivation, and I guess it wasn't what he originally had planned for an ending too. I think he originally was planning to make it more deliberate.
Yeah, no, he originally was following the text with his ending, but then it just wasn't working, which I agree that wouldn't have worked.
No, because the text ends with him like the knight not chopping off his head, and he goes back to the Knights of the Round Table, and they all think he was awesome, but like he kind of like failed one of his tests, and that like the guilt of that weighed deeply on him. So that was the end
a real early Catholic right there.
Yeah.
They're like, did you get a weird sad hand job from a strange lady that you shouldn't have?
So he gets the
very specific question.
He chopped his neck. He actually does get his neck chopped, but it doesn't like he stops short and just
he doesn't chop his head off. He wounds him. He doesn't chop.
Yeah,
him
and
off
he's like that's for taking the
gives
shroud.
him a paper cut in the back of his neck.
He's like that's for keeping the shroud. Basically, yeah.
Yeah,
but I like that's the ending. I think it's a better ending. I think the ambiguity of it is better ending.
Yeah, I think it works better, especially for today, right? Like we don't need it to be a lesson about these chivalric concepts of truth and stuff. Like I think it works much better, this version.
And
also the guy just sucks. Like
I like
you can't even adequately call him. You can't even adequately call him like a hustler or something. Like he's not even good enough for that.
No.
You know, like he's just like no. He's just kind of meandering his way this way, that way. Like
I mean, I think fail son is the perfect term for it. Like he's failing upwards essentially.
Well, look when he first leaves the castle, right? And all the kids are like, "Oh God, Gawain's going to do his thing right on," and he's like, "Oh," and he's like being all, and then like the second all the kids go, he just like is back like, "Oh fuck, what am I up to? I don't even know what's happening." And he like again passes by that awesome cage that just has the dude who's a skeleton in it, just like, you know.
He also passes by the kid, and the kid just looks kind of like a little bit just confused. Like the kid's like.
And well, like I said, everyone's kind of shitty and disheveled and like clearly not having a great time. I love.
So I want to talk about the Winifred part, who is a real. I mean, she's a real.
That's
saint.
a real person within.
So I have them shooting it. But like, so she's a real saint that I guess was canonized because a guy really did chop off her head, and that spring that you see really is the spring, I think, that her head's at the bottom of, supposedly. So like this is a real story that comes out of Ireland and is part of the Catholic Church.
Is that Liam Neeson? I guess it is Liam Neeson. I haven't seen Excalibur in so long.
I will find you and I will chop off your head.
I was about to say
specific set of skills.
Most of all, my specific set of skills is I suck, but you know.
You got better, apparently.
She's wonderful, and the shorthand that she and David have with one another it's just worth its weight in gold. You know, I think he can really leave sets to her and know that she's going to provide what he's excited about and what will be great on camera. And she really has a great sense of color and space, and as well as light, which is so helpful for me. She really, everything that she had done for this film was just so lovely, and she is one of our very best.
My lady.
So this is Winifred's house, Hollywell house. We're laying down the floor today. You can see that. They're doing some aging still, not quite finished. And this is really old floor that, someone took out of the house and we salvaged it. So it's pretty amazing. Obviously none of this is real. The floor upstairs is also salvaged. So you can see the thatching. Our construction coordinator had this for free. He had it from another job, which is amazing. If you can find it and it makes sense and it's affordable, then we'll do it. But obviously we can't build the Great Hall with real stone because we would be here all for a long time. We are putting stone for the floor on the bottom because you can do that, but trying to do that on the walls doesn't make any sense to do that. So yeah, it's just finding whatever we can find that's salvageable, we'll do it, because then there's a lot less work to have to get the texture and the aging. It's already there, so you don't have to do it.
So it was definitely a challenge, like creating this world and making it cohesive was something that, you know, we just jumped headfirst into, and we're just, you know, we barely pulled it off.
And Helena, you can start walking.
We talked about the film, its look largely as wanting it to feel very modern and wanting it to feel very immersive. And we weren't trying to make it feel like a historical film or like films who may have depicted this time and already and have done it well.
Hold there for just a second, Helena.
We wanted it to be bold and even slightly psychedelic at times and really feel unlike something you had seen. There's so much creative license there. We could just chase whatever interested us and what felt right for the scene and for the mood of the scene.
It looks nice. Something about it foreshortening her first appearance is kind of nice.
So we chose to shoot this film on the Alexa 65 and DNA lenses. And primarily the push to shoot in large format was how immersive the film could be. And we knew that we wanted it to be really dynamically framed and to feel almost three-dimensional. That was sort of a challenge that David threw down. He early on tossed to me this, Orson Welles film, Chimes at Midnight, and that's a very dynamically framed film. And that sort of really got me kicking about how wide this movie needed to be.
You can see your finger almost at 180 degrees.
Indeed you can.
But yeah, so they found like the actual, I think, spring that Winifred was like, you know, because you can actually go visit it and stuff. And they were like shooting around there, and I guess they like based a lot of it off of the house that was there and stuff like that. So I gotta find that found that fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and again, like the characterization is great because that's, you know, clearly in the movie, it's like she's been waiting around a long time, and she's just like, "Yo, dude, can you get my head, please? That would be great."
Yeah, don't touch me. Don't bargain with me. Just go get my head.
Enough with the chit chat.
Yeah, saints had to put up with a lot to be saints.
Exactly. It is interesting that, like, because when you first see that area, you're like, oh, this seems like a bad place to stay, dude. Something not cool has happened here, like, at all. But he's like, all right, this seems good.
You can't trust those bog bed and breakfasts. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Well, it has a lovely bog. You know, the breakfast was only okay, but the bog was for sure.
Well, so that's something I just thought of with this discussion is like everybody in the movie and hopefully in the audience is smarter than him too. Like they either have a better idea of what's going on, they got more information, and they're going, "Don't do that," and then he does it. Everybody.
Which kind of
what are you
like
doing? Don't go in there.
In the tradition of like horror movies, right? Like every horror movie, you have some like either some like jockey himbo guy or some bimbo girl that's like, you're like, hey, don't go in there.
This
Stop
is a great
going in
place to
there.
have sex. Let's have sex
So
right here.
he's
Don't
kind of
have
like he's like the 14th century iteration of like a himbo, pretty much. Like
yeah,
just
it's Gwen the Himbo Knight.
Well, at least in this depiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
he's in more than one. He's in more than one Arthurian legend or story. Like there's one that's supposed to be about Camelot. He's in, and
oh really?
The story starts with Gawain like kicking the queen's dog because it's there, and getting kicked out of the court. And he goes to King Arthur and is like, "Your lady is so crazy. She doesn't want me around because I kicked her dog." And Arthur's like, "Yeah. Go away."
Yeah, maybe don't.
And that's
dogs,
how
bro.
the journey starts.
You kick my dog? You kick my dog?
Yeah.
So there's
a dog kicker.
There's a not even like theory, kind of like a whatever like the next level beyond theory is, that when the teenagers roll him in the forest, the one of the reasons why you see it kind of like it spins around, you see like the seasons kind of turn, and you see his skeleton, is that he actually dies. And that he spends like that he's like in some kind of like netherworld situation, limbo or whatever. And so that by him like doing the nightly good deed of getting her head and bringing it back to her, that like one of the reasons why you see like the crazy like psychedelic light show while he's underneath like under the water, like it's like a Refn movie or something, and everything is like going crazy all neon, is that because he's like being almost reborn, he's being reborn into the world after actually being killed by those dumbass kids.
Which that line would make sense, where she's like, "Did my father send you?" And you can tell she's talking about God. So that would, I guess that's like the respawn mission. He's like,
and he almost blows it, which is just how great of a night he is. That he almost like, I was like, "Hey, enough with the idle chit chat." She like flat out was like, "Can you get my head, please? Can you get the head? That's all I need."
I think a lot of this movie could have been fixed if Xanax had just been invented. And somebody had given him like half a Xanax, and they were like, "Dude, like he's like nervously talking to her, and he's like, oh, they might take my head too. Your head's gone. Wow, that's crazy." Like, you want to talk about heads? I got a story for you. And she's like, "Bro, my head is in the water."
I do not want to talk about heads. I want you to retrieve my head. Those are different things. Those are different actions. Kristina, what do you think?
You want to talk about heads? Do I have a story for you?
Kristina, what do you think about Himbo Night? What's
He really is not the brightest bulb in the tanning bed. I mean, how am I supposed to like this movie when the character is an idiot?
I guess because he's a handsome idiot.
It's like the Zoolander of night films.
I'm just saying.
Your head is really, really.
That's why they got
far down there.
Patel. So you have something pretty to look at.
Yeah, I mean,
he's charismatic. He's just terrible at his job of being a knight.
Yeah,
like really bad.
He did not. I guess he didn't go to night school.
No.
Well done. Solid. I bet Dev Patel couldn't tell a joke like that, you know.
But yeah, so I guess the one thing we haven't really covered is when he gets to the keep, right? We talked a little bit about the lady. I don't think she's actually ever named, but the non-Essel lady that is like the clearly mobbed up with Morgase's coven in some way, shape, or form, whether it's like as an avatar for them or like, she gives that kind of, it's almost an environmental speech, right? Which is kind of wild. It's like, oh, that's very forward thinking.
Well, she's kind of she's like the audience corollary, but not like the audience that's just kind of like wandering into the theater to talk about it. But like there's been a long academic debate about why the night is green. Like it's gone on for like centuries, like people being like, why the fuck is it a green night? Like, what does green mean? And then I guess at the end of this, everybody in King Arthur's court ends up taking like a green, like the color is green or something after that in the story. Mm-hmm. So they've like they've adopted his color or something. And they're like, what's the point of that? So I like that she's kind of the academic corollary, I guess, to be like, so why do you think he's green? And he's like, I don't know. He was green and he showed up. What do you mean?
It's not easy being green.
Well, she's almost like the only person that's very thoughtful about it at all. Everyone's like, oh yeah, he's big, he's green, he got an axe. What do you need to know? I was like, okay, well, like literally anything about him would help, but that's me. I'm a curious guy. I get it. I'd be burned as a witch. But like it's but she's got like kind of like a point of like, you got this encroaching like Christianity, which is supposed to be bringing like God's love to like this world. And like, look, everyone's miserable and they're hungry and they're dirty and everything's all jacked up. I was like, is the natural world really like, that bad compared to like what's happening like in the name of these Arthurian quests? It's like, it's a good point. And again, it shows you rather than like, I like Borman, I like Excalibur. I forgot Liam Neeson was Gawain, so I really want to rewatch that now because it's since that movie in forever. But everything's very shiny. Everything's very much centered on like the quest and honor and this and that. And like it's that's more the traditional Knight's Tale, there's not the movie A Knight's Tale, which is an entirely different thing. and you don't see that, like, hey, there's another story here of, like, there are these peoples that, like, maybe, like, they don't see the benefits of this, and that there's, like, this world that's being run roughshod over. Look at how desiccated that field is, that, like, field of war, where it's like, that sucks. And then you got our friend Barry there that's like, oh, I wish I could have been in this battle. I'm like, you would be dead. You would literally be dead. There's everyone here is dead. Everyone that, like, you're like jealous of them, they're dead. You're alive and they're dead.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, you're right, I better
just Barry.
Exactly. So he's like, oh, I better just rob this dumbass knight instead, which is a much better idea.
Smart guy.
I mean, it is a good idea because of who the knight is. Like, it would be a terrible idea.
They're like, I can take him. This idiot.
And they did.
They totally did. And they may have killed him, which I was like, I didn't think about that. I thought it was he's just being artsy fartsy. I'm like, oh wow, he's thinking about what it'd be like if he died. I'm like, no, he may have actually died.
He's not. I mean, he deserves it, first of all, but also he is so incompetent.
Yeah.
He would die.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's a character that gets killed off by an NPC in a side quest. And you're like, what? No one's ever done that before. Like, we don't even know. There's not any logic for this game for that. We better give him a respawn mission. I don't know. Have him find, like, her head or something. He can't fuck that up.
Yeah. Save point.
Exactly.
And he was.
I mean, I
fuck that up too.
It's not for lack of trying. But I think Joel Edgerton's character is just Lord, right? It's like Lord.
His name's like Lord Barrington or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a
Lord Edgerton. I mean, like, I don't know, who cares? Doesn't matter. But anyway, like, they've got a weird dynamic. Like, there's no love there. But you've also got you got the lady, you got who looks exactly like Essel and is meant to be a proxy for Essel in some way, shape, or form, whether through magic or just through sort of parable. But you also have, like,
which he doesn't seem to pick up on as a like that could be a thing. Like,
no,
what I mean?
No, again, not the sharp, not the brightest bulb in the door or whatever. Purple Knight there. So.
Everybody else knows more than he does.
Yeah, like, and it's like, yo, looks just like your girlfriend, doesn't she? No, didn't catch it. She's got a different hat. Okay.
Her hair's different. Like,
I was looking at her face with that cleavage.
Maybe he was just looking at her boobs and didn't know.
I mean, her shirt was, like, really far open,
Well, I noticed, yeah, but I'm just saying he noticed too, apparently. But there's also the crone. There's like the older lady who's kind of lamping too. She's just around, and I think that kind of lends credence to, like, maybe they're either tied in with the coven, with Morgase's coven, or some kind of avatar.
She touches the face like his mother did. So I think she was supposed to also. And in the original poem, that was his mother, or that was Morgana, actually, who's aunt technically, but
because it's Morgana and her literally her lesser known sister Morgase. Yes. And it sounds like a joke. I would be, that's our lesser known sister. It is her lesser known sister. That actually is real.
Yes,
it's like
that part's true.
There's Gawain and Gowanus as little known brother. No, that's bullshit. That's shtick. But Morgase actually is, like, Morgana's lesser known sister. She's never named.
There's supposed to be some connection between Morgan Le Fay as a character and the woman who's blindfolded, and, like, the corollary in the actual story of the spiritual quality of that. Which, like, if you didn't already pick that up, which you definitely, I feel like without her, I still would be like, yeah, no, there's something going on here.
I mean, either way, he's getting a sad, weird hand job from his aunt or his mom or one of his mom's buddies.
He doesn't bother to know. Like, unbothered, uninterested. Like, no biggie.
He just wants the belt.
But the belt's so important to him. It's just, I hate thinking about it. It's so cringe. He's so pathetic. It's the worst.
But I feel like he's not even, like, he's not even angling for it. He's, like, not sharp enough to even angle for it, right? He's just sort of like,
he's
he blunders into this way.
This is weird. Crazy.
I'm into this, but probably shouldn't be happening. And whoops, it's over. Okay.
So in the real story, it's like much longer, and he's there for much longer. And I guess like they don't tell about him getting robbed. They don't, like, all of those kind of side quests are kind of hinted at, but they're not like actually in the story. And
he's also a lot more successful at things in the poem.
And so the guy makes that deal with him. So, you know, the wife keeps trying to seduce him, and he has to keep making out with the guy to get the the food that he gives him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. That's easy to forget about. The Lord Edgerton.
Because the first night he gets kissed once, and so he must kiss the king once, and then the second night he gets kissed twice, and so this he gives him 2 kisses the next day, and then the third night he gets kissed 3 times and got the belt. And he kept the belt, but gave the guy 3 kisses.
I got the same rules in my house. Yeah. you get a belt on the 3rd kiss.
the third night, she slips him a little tongue, and then he's like, I guess I gotta, slip the Lord a little tongue, and then.
But here's the thing: if he went out and just got his own food, who needs that deal? Like, he's just an idiot.
He's a fail son, right?
Like,
he's used to having all the food brought to him at the kingdom, and like it's Camelot, and he's like, I'm spoiled, and I don't know how to catch food, so I guess I'm gonna have to like go gay for pay for a week with this guy. Like,
this is how you
say go
get
gay
food
for pay.
Here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, gay for food. I mean, the money is food at that point, right? Like, time is money, and money is food.
When in Rome,
food is
guess
pizza,
people
pizza's
kiss
knowledge,
with
let's
tongue.
go. So I have one more clip that I want to play before jumping to letterbox one-liners, I guess. This is the clip of Alicia.
Real quick before we do that,
Yeah.
what do you guys think happened with like his stuff that like Barry took off with? Like, do you think he just like
gets it back?
But like, what do you think happened in the interim? Because
I think there's something to do with God. I think it has to do with God. Like, I don't know. Like, because when he passes by the kid and he's running away, the kid's like kind of dazed. So I feel
because there's a theory that he kind of gets up into it, right? There's a theory that kind of he gets up into it, and then maybe like that's whatever. It's fine. Go ahead, play the clip.
All right. Well, he says he's gonna fight the Green Knight, which is kind of funny. Like,
yeah, which is hilarious because like, hey, you suck shit. I'm gonna go do your job for you, basically.
Valid.
But I could imagine that kid going up to Green Knight and being like, and him being like, I'm gonna chop off your head, and that kid being like, oh shit, and like taking off again.
Yeah. Peace. I'm out.
And it can be the Alice in Wonderland version.
Where your
just like
head's
the
just
flying.
much larger.
Alicia was one of the first people to read the script. She read in a very early draft and got involved very early on. She really loved it. We'd been a fan of each other's work and wanted to work together. And so I sent her this and she really responded to it. And we really spent a lot of time talking about the themes and the imagery, and the script developed in concert with those conversations. She really brought a lot to it and was there she was there from the very early days, from the very first draft.
Do you want to see the set for tomorrow, just so you have it in mind?
Yeah.
David has given me a wonderful little gift in this film. I think, first of all, I get to play 2 characters. And I think from early on, he said, I really want them to be distinctly 2 different people, even though they're going to look a lot like one another.
The idea of her playing multiple characters came about because in the original text, Morgan Le Fay is playing, she plays multiple parts in the role. She disguises herself. And so I love the idea of one actor playing multiple parts. And working with her was a true pleasure. Like, just getting to watch her define these 2 characters in such different ways and yet find ways in which they could kind of reflect one another was really, really stunning.
She has this kind of precision as a performer, which I was just in awe of. I'm so rough around the edges, and I'm like in a constant state of panic, and I look over on set and this Alicia is just like a ballerina with 2 different accents and 2 totally different personalities, and to watch her kind of embody both of those, the yin and the yang, was really amazing. It was a joy to be around.
Why is it green, do you think?
The night.
Yes. Was he born that way?
And then I get the chance to do probably my longest line I've ever done in film. It kind of reminds me of my wish of still wanting to be on stage one day, but to be able to, in a one take, do a poem, that I would call it. And every time I read it back home, every time I was practicing it, I found new things about it, and new meanings and new subtext that I didn't know existed. And that's just proof of how incredibly well written this piece is.
We deck our halls with it and dye our linens. The shitter come creeping up the cobbles. We scrub it out fast as we can.
I love that scene because I just love watching good actors at work. So within the scene, we get to kind of get, pulled into her spell. So that was really lovely. It's a pretty incredible cast. Like I say, there's, the film reminds me a lot of Alice in Wonderland. I guess you could say Garwin, or Deb's character, is like Alice, sort of.
Joel Edgerton was also in The Stranger, which is one of the more underrated movies that came out in the last year. That was a very pleasant surprise for me.
It's kind of fascinating that he gets to be back in like the Star Wars universe, because like a lot of the questions that people were asking him during the press run for this were all like Star Wars related, and he's like, "Hey, can we talk about this?
Can we talk about Obi-Wan?"
Yeah, well, he's Uncle Owen, right? Like he's
He's the more recent uncle, but he's also like The Stranger is the name of that film. It's on Netflix, but it's a pretty interesting, very different kind of role. Alicia, have you guys seen anything that she's in that's not Ex Machina? Because that's the only thing I've seen other than this that she's in. I like that quite a bit.
She looks really familiar, and I've been trying to figure out.
Oh, yeah. I saw The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I don't really remember anything.
Is she in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Yes, she's The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I love The Man from U.N.C.L.E. That's fantastic.
Yeah, with the cannibal and Superman.
She's also she's married to Michael Fassbender.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
Oh,
right. Yep. That's how
Like,
I know her.
Whenever you try to find interviews of her like talking about stuff, it's always just questions about Michael Fassbender.
She's in that new Tomb Raider as Lara Croft. Really?
Yeah. She's in the Dark Crystal TV series.
That is not a good.
She's in Jason Bourne.
Yeah, actually, I saw her in the Anna Karenina back in like.
Oh yeah, okay. I haven't seen any of those. I've literally only seen her in this and Ex Machina. She's really good. I mean, that monologue she does alone is like, it's like, oh damn, all right.
And that's like the most I'd say like Shakespearean of the monologues within this, right? Like, they're kind of speaking in like I mean, it's kind of like Middle English-esque, like kind of or Shakespearean English-esque things at some points, but like for the most part, they're just speaking in vernacular English for the majority of this. And then she kind of bursts out in like a monologue, which is something that I think pulls you into like the surreality of it. And also, the Lord character kind of just asking like a single question, or like, single questions at a time, being like, what is your goal by doing this? And then kind of like doing this whole lofty thing. That is kind of how a Shakespearean scenes are, right? Like a lot of times, like one person will have one line after like a shitload of a monologue, just to kind of play an almost coarse character within that.
Next thing you know, it's women talking.
women talking the monologues.
Terrible.
Like right in the middle of that, scene though, like he's just like, so what are you looking for through this? And he's like, honor. And he's like, are you asking me if that's what you're looking for? And
like, that's a great line. That's so good. It's like, are you like what's like. It's like he's so unclear about like every part of what he's doing. Like even that.
Like, I wish I could see you when you're fully changed or something. After he's like, I don't know.
That's kind of like a real low key diss, right? Was like, yeah, you kind of suck now, so I can't wait until like you actually come back and are awesome after you do some stuff. Like, whoa.
They're like everyone's making legends about you, and you have to live up to it. And also, dude, like, I can't wait to see you come back, and live up to them
and be cool. Yeah.
I wish you were different.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
It'd be really nice if you were different.
I can't wait to see you when you're different than what you are right now. That would be great.
Well, growth is a pretty good thing, and I wish you were growing, but I guess not.
Hey, if only you were green. But it was funny seeing that scene again. The entire time, you just have the crone posted up at the table.
Yeah, she's just lamping, cold lamping with the crone.
And
yeah.
If you want to get into like symbolism and stuff, it could be like Gawain is supposed to be being aided by like the Christian faith or Catholic faith, but also sort of this old paganism from his mom. And he's willing to take the benefits, but beyond that has absolutely no interest. Like there's this ancient knowledge sitting at the table and you're just not even going to acknowledge it.
Yep. Exactly.
No
She's real
biggie.
busy. Yeah.
Well, and also she's like a world receptacle of knowledge, right? Like she's walking through the house being like, I have all these books and I've added to some and I've written this stuff down, and many of them are books I've written. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that there were that many books even in the world.
I wish I could read. That'd be cool.
It says a lot about it.
I like looking at the whole I wish you were different thing. Like in the end of this, I like that it's not that he's changed or he's made some kind of life thing. Like he's at the first step to the step of changing, right? Like he's kind of said, oh, I guess I am going to try to, make a good decision for once. Like, but you don't get to see his decision play out.
And it may be his last one. It's not immediately clear, which is what for me what makes it awesome.
If it is his last one, he doesn't. There's no consequence to it. He doesn't have to continue to make good decisions. As far as that goes, it's going to be the easiest good decision he ever makes because there's no follow through.
Yeah. Oh, it worked out well for him because he's a legend now, right? Yeah, exactly. So it worked out fine. Either way.
I guess the direction that they told the Green Knight was act like Santa Claus in that last scene. That was the
really?
Well, you kind of see when he's like his final
what do
line.
You want for Christmas?
Well, no, but he's like off with his head and like says it really cheerfully. You're like, yeah, I can see how Santa Claus pops out of that.
Oh, Alicia.
Well, wouldn't you be that happy to cut off his head? Like you've been dealing with this guy. It's like, yeah, this is great. Best part of interacting with you.
I think that the girl child saint would be happy to cut off his head at that point, and she knows what it feels like. Which like this guy is obnoxious, like he's annoying. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
Can't think of her name right now, but yeah. Anyway, that would be the joke.
Saint Winifred.
Saint Winifred of the Annoyed. Yeah. Are we? Shall we move on to the letterbox one-liners there, Forrest?
Yeah. Let's do it.
So
I'm looking forward to this.
As we all know, the Letterboxd is a social media site for film lovers. It's a place for film lovers to talk at with into each other with the films they love, the films they didn't love, the films that are predominantly thirst posting for the lead, perhaps. And of course, all of this is best expressed succinctly. There's no Siskel's and Eberts in this world. Everyone gets to have their say. Bottom-up democracy, but keep it tight. Keep it tight. Keep it succinct. Working our tight five in front of the brick wall at the Comedy Store. Maybe it's a green brick wall. Who am I to tell? But these are the Letterboxd one-liners for The Green Knight. Let's roll.
I wish you had said Sir Siskel and Sir Ebert.
Positively decaptivating. Good placement on that one, by the way.
Yo, you heard the story about my head? Bitch, you just go into the fucking thing and get my head. Like, wouldn't
enough chit chat. Dude acts like he's playing hard mode, but skip the tutorials.
The respawn thing would be pretty incredible. I feel like that being the like.
Oh man.
He immediately gets fucking capped, and then he's like, oh, I guess I better respawn. And the respawn is like, hey, go get my head from this water, and he's like, maybe not that. Could it be something else?
So great. I need a little fox buddy.
Don't we all?
Amen.
I feel like I have one. Like I really do.
I wish my cats would talk to me like that.
Why do you never tell me I could turn back? Cats.
Come on.
Yeah, come on. So my cats talk to me plenty, but they're not that loquacious.
I don't know.
You know what movie is?
I was just gonna say one of my cats actually says "mama."
That's gonna make this all the weirder. You know, what movie is a banger when I hear someone whisper, "Is that his real cum?"
Cursed, and they saw it in theaters.
There's an actual
He's a method actor. He's like Daniel Day-Lewis.
I saw like a Vulture or one of those like media company breakdowns. It's like, is that real cum? An investigation.
No.
The magic girdle stays on during sex.
Yes.
You know he's never taking that shit off.
He needs it.
He's like, maybe I'll last longer if I keep this tied around me real tight.
Oh, I like these tags. They saw it in theaters with their mom.
With mom.
And the mom turned to them and said, "Honey, is that real cum?"
Yeah.
It's all connected, people. This is what it's like to play D&D high.
I hope not. I hope not.
Can't confirm. Yes.
That's too bad. I'd hope that you'd be better.
So many ideas thrown at something for better or worse. I love that things just happen and no one tries to explain why there's a tree man or giants or whatever.
See, I didn't feel like there needed to be an explanation. Like the giants are just kind of in this world. I feel like a lot of movies have that.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, bring it up 1,000 times. Yes, I've done with me. I'm just deliver. Couldn't stop imagining my dad sitting there saying, "What the hell is this?" As I'm sure many dads are. And for this and the cum part, I must rank this high. My buddy Reagan from Chat Pile, who was eventually going to be on this
it's
show.
not just that he comes fast; it's the line where she's like, "You're no knight." Like the just the sheer fucking.
Well, and
I just feel like
and with the girdle.
sheer disgust, disgust that she has for him when
Great
he comes that quickly, and she's like, "You're no knight, bitch."
Also, I love the idea. I love the idea that it's go back for a second. Forrest, that I love the idea that it's his dad saying, "What the hell is this?" Dude, that's
no, come on, you gotta last longer than that.
What the hell?
Or like, imagine the dad wanders in for the cum part, and it's just like
that's all he sees.
Yeah,
What manner
oh
of
man,
pornography
what are you watching? There's porn everywhere these days. Damn.
The horniest movie I've ever watched at a drive-in.
And
that feels like more of a commentary on the commenter than anything.
I assure you, Matt Cornell has probably seen some freaky stuff at a drive-in.
I feel like at a drive-in is where the hand jobs stopped at that scene. They're like, we're not doing this tonight.
Those are the Letterboxd one-liners for The Green Knight. Please follow the show. That's really Sir Jizrag over there. Movie Night Extravaganza representing the show. Everybody go follow him. He's logging all the stuff that we cover on this.
Movie Night Jizrag. What can I,
representative.
Yeah, representing for all the Jizrags amongst us. I, of course, am Conan Himbo Night Neutron at Conan Neutron, watching all of the upper echelon, the mid-tier, the popular stuff. Take the Criterion Challenge with me.
And try not to come.
And you're no knight. You're no himbo knight. Yeah, I'm all over that biz. I logged in like 33 movies this month. I don't know how that happened. I mean, I know how it happened. We've been snowed in, but it's what it is. Jesus Christ. J. Andrew, Real Knights Don't Come World is watching.
It's been there the whole time.
Sir Jizrag's been on there for 2 days. I came up with that name 2 days ago.
Is watching all the weirdest stuff on Letterboxd so you don't have to. Maybe so you can. I'm not judging, just like I don't judge everyone's nicknames on this show, nor do I read them apparently until it's time to do my bit. So I got that going for me.
I read them.
I'm sure you do, and I'm sure you're questioning your life decisions the entire time. Purple Knight down there. He's got the purple lighting to back it up. She's on Letterboxd, and she graces the site with her presence now and again, and it's always targeted. It's always good. Purple Knight is, of course, Kristina Oakes, just to narc her out from her secret identity as clearly a better knight than Gawain, because that's a low barrier of entry. Amanda, please stop with the joke names. I don't think you're actually. You do have a Letterboxd account? Are you on there? You don't have to be.
Oh yeah.
What is your account?
I'm there. I'm on there as lots of sweets.
Lots of sweets on on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
So please follow her as well as all our lovely guests on Movie Night Extravaganza. Oh my God. J. Andrew, Real Knights Don't Come World. Will you please take us away with the plugs? Thank you.
All right. You're watching us right now on YouTube, so please do all the YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. And the big ask is watch the video to the end. That gives you a chance to listen to a great Conan Neutron song, and that allows us to be found by other movie fans.
Last go round for the Adventure Night theme.
Yeah.
No
So enjoy. What was that? What was that guitar thingy you played on this from Japan?
The Pippa. It's the
Yes,
yeah.
Your last chance
Wild
to
thing.
hear that.
I feel like that's what Australians play.
Pippa Longstocking. Yeah.
they're like, Mike, get over there and play on the Pippa real quick. On it.
Why don't you rip a solo on the Pippa? Right, proper.
Yes. Follow us on various social media sites. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Like us in all those places, and you'll get weird things in different places.
That's your reward. You get
is
weird
not
things.
threatening at all.
That's
not a threat.
Yes. Okay, I'll try to be.
You'll get weird things. Like what manner of weird things might that be? Like, can you give us an example?
How about polls on Twitter? We got a Twitter community.
That doesn't sound that weird.
Are you talking about Polish people? Are you talking about
big old poles,
stripper poles? Like what?
Yeah, have you seen my polls? They're
Go ahead. It's fine. I'm over it. Go ahead. Go.
Never mind. Yes.
No more.
I don't know. But yeah. We have a Patreon.
So a cop, an innkeeper, and a Twitter poll walk into a bar.
Sounds painful.
Yeah.
Oh.
We have a Patreon.
Yes. I think one of them has seen it.
It helps out the show and allows you to have access to the after parties after we air them.
After party forever.
After party forever.
We never get it right. We've been doing this for how long now?
See, we'll get it right on the after party, which you have to be a patron to see. So there you go.
We only doing an after party tonight to wrap up this this run of adventure films.
Looking forward to it. Should be good.
Yes.
If you're into that kind of thing. I'm not, but yeah, anyway. Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, Conan, you have a show called Protonic Reversal.
Apparently, yeah. It's back this week. It's gonna be Kevin Romanis at the Cows, and or Rose Marshak at Poster Children. Tune in on Thursday to find out. One of them is gonna be on this week, one's gonna be on next week. They're both fantastic. Rose has a new book about her life in Poster Children. And being the girl in a band amongst the 90s bands. And she's an incredible writer. I've had her on a couple times. She's awesome. And then Kevin Romanis from the Cows, also played in Melvins, Tomahawk with Mike Patton, et cetera, has 2 new records out. 2 people. And so, yeah, it'll be one of those 2 on Thursday. I'll figure it out by tomorrow, probably. Hopefully. Maybe. We'll see. Who knows? Tune in.
Or you'll be interviewing them both at the same time. It'll be really weird because...
Sure. I have literally done weirder stuff. So, yeah.
Yes.
Like doing this movie.
And bandcamp.com.
Yes.
That's where you can get all your Conan Neutron music.
That's exactly.
Not to be confused with moviepoll.bandcamp.com.
A different thing.
Go there or something?
He's referring to the earlier bit where whatever.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Remember, kids, all nights are bastards.
Yes. True.
Flavor Flav.
Damn it, Bobby, what the hell are we watching? Thank you, Chad. You always know to bail us out, even if we don't.
Whoa!
But yeah, go get your Conan Neutron music. You can get it on various forms, digital, CD,
forms.
vinyl.
You said like you fill out a form and you get it. You get it.
Well, technically, yeah. You gotta
Okay.
fill in your credit card information on the form.
hey, you gotta fill out a form and then you get the music. You know, we don't do
That's how
this
it works,
for
right?
free.
Yes.
I mean,
was
it's
gonna
spoiled
say
by
it.
the
Fill
one
out-
clicked by
fill out this
off
movie.
of a
Fill out
Bandcamp,
this movie
so-
poll. Fill out this movie poll and this form, and you can get the music.
I said they make Andy fill it out on triplicate apparently to buy stuff on Bandcamp. I don't know. I thought it was pretty easy. You got to fill out blood type. What are you looking for over here? I'm just trying to hear some tunes.
Social security number. This doesn't seem relevant to wanting to listen to music.
What does it need
Mother's
employer
maiden
references
name.
for?
I think you're just applying to work at band camp.
I think so. Yeah. I thought he was buying music, but he's applied for a job.
3 previous references. I don't know how
Christ.
this is relevant to me being able to download an album, but
This
yeah.
record better be good. That's all I got to say about it.
Still,
They have to interview me before I can listen to it. It's crazy.
Nuts. It's a rigorous process. It's like that Lost Wu-Tang album that the Shrekky
Gatekeeping
guy,
has gone too far.
the guy from Shrekbot, right? That was that guy.
I need a, you know, they're gonna call my family and friends. This just seems what are they gonna ask them? Is he a reliable guy to download an album? What is this?
Crazy.
A drug test. A drug
stringent.
test.
I just
I
want
would,
some
be so, I would
MP3s.
be so disappointed to learn that you need to take a drug test to work at Bandcamp.
Let me be clear. I assure you, you don't have to do that. I would be absolutely shocked considering some of the people I know that work there. Enough said.
They're testing to make sure you're on drugs.
You have to fail. Yeah, you have to fail a drug test for them to hire you. They're like, are you sober? And you're like, yeah. And they're like,
oh, you can't work here.
Yeah, this is a different. You're like, you work at Spotify.
That's where the narcs go. Yes.
Behind
Anyway,
the
fill out,
scenes in the music industry.
fill out an application to download my music, please. Thank you. Very
And you know, put in your social security number and last 3 jobs. And
my favorite part of this entire bit is just how completely unimpressed of all of it Kristina is. She just could not possibly be like us.
I don't think she liked this movie. That's the thing.
She just was like just sitting there no selling the entire bit. And we were like,
I'm incredibly run down. I've been streaming.
oh, you should have heard Andy after he was done filling out the application to download the WAV files.
Yeah, I've been streaming like
I just
9
want a
hours
lossless
a
over
day,
here.
like for the last 5 days. So I'm like,
And then she had to watch, you know, the scene with the cum rag. It was too much.
I
Too
was not
much.
impressed.
Cancel culture has gone too far, or not far enough. Maybe
The lady
I don't
wasn't
know.
impressed either.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just gonna say. Not as unimpressed as she was. You're no knight.
Christina's like,
damn.
Christina's like, he really isn't. He really isn't a knight.
It's a good movie, you guys.
I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Christina, less so.
Yeah.
Andy. Anyway, Andy, what were we talking about?
I think we
Yeah,
were
buy
talking
my
about
stuff,
Bandcamp.
right?
Yeah.
Buy my
I
stuff
don't know.
on
Do we
Bandcamp,
finish your
right.
plugs? I'm not even sure at this point.
I don't know. We never mentioned the Patreon. It's like it brings in a good amount of money.
He did.
We did. We talked about it. We said there's an after party. You can go there forever. We
Wow.
sang
No,
a
no,
song.
for this show. I'm talking about
Oh,
my
for your-
Patreon.
No.
Conan
Talking
has
about
a
him
Patreon.
on that.
Different form.
Himbo
It's a
Net's got to
different
get paid.
application.
Himbo Net's got to get paid.
And you get access to episodes of Protonic Reversal early.
Yes,
when you
thank
sign
you.
up.
That's all I'm looking.
There we go.
You get access
$1
to
a
all 9 numbers of Conan's social security number.
You find out my blood type, my eye color, my last 3 addresses, spokio.net. Yeah. Anyway, you can, yeah. So if you want the thing that we were talking about like 20 minutes earlier, if you want to get episodes of that sooner, yeah, $1 a month, Bernie Sanders style. Thank you.
Yes.
Patreon.com.
$1. It's $1, people.
When I was a kid, you could join Patreon for 25 cents, but now it's gone up to $1. But it's still a good deal.
Criterion Blu-ray was 25 cents. In my
You
day.
bought it.
Y'all
You
need
bought
to
it.
save this material for the after party.
I know we're like
That's
doing
my
the
line. That's literally my line.
What we should be doing is talking about Kristina's Twitch channel and what she's streaming this week.
Yeah, taking tonight off, but I will be back tomorrow. I've been streaming for like 9 hours, like for the last 5 days. So it's
Jesus
like,
Christ, that sounds horrible. You
yeah.
alright?
Well, what happens is that I'm like, hey, let's watch Michael Jackson's Bucharest concert and just hang for like 2 hours. And so yeah, we've been watching concerts. Everyone's like, how do you do that? I'm like, you don't upload the VODs. That's how you can skirt the copyright infringement or whatever.
Got it.
I danced though, and people have been clipping me dancing, so that's great.
It's the internet.
We got ourselves a regular Michael Jackson over here.
Oh, what's over there?
My uncle is named Michael, and everyone thinks I'm talking about Michael Jackson. I'm like, do you think I look like I'm related to Michael Jackson?
Depends.
Well, me and Michael Jackson share a birthday.
Oh,
August
really?
29th, yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
other
we're probably
and other attributes.
Oh, tomorrow we're probably gonna go over Nikki Haley is running for president, so that should be exciting.
Woof. Yeah, well, saw that one coming. Oh, just like the lady of the house with the Green Knight. Am I right? Oh,
Hey, he was no knight.
He was no knight.
All right, well, I mean, we still have to plug Amanda, but
coffee. We got to do coffee. Yeah,
coffeebrown.com.
Yeah.
Kristina looks like she needs a little coffee.
I was gonna say, might liven her up a little bit.
But what is it? KOFI coffee.
Oh, that is a great band name. Oh man.
I tell you what, there's bands with worse names that open for us. Let me tell you.
we are Medieval Hand Job. This is our
not awesome.
The music they play is terrible. They're just wearing gauntlets and trying
they commit
work
to the
around
bit.
it. Yeah.
This is our armored set. We're Medieval Hand Job.
That'd be really hard to play guitar in. Maybe they have fingerless.
Yeah.
They play the lute. One of them plays the lute, and it's just like
electric lute.
The lutiest of all lutes.
They only play like ballads of like famous knights. They're like he was a brave knight and he was wandering down the trail.
This is what they do. Their whole thing is actually playing the songs from the Spamalot original Broadway cast album.
I was gonna say their whole thing is that like
Finland.
Their albums have like just torture sounds on them. Like halfway through the music, you just hear some guy like screaming.
Look, you already established that they play the lute.
It sounds like y'all are making a band. Is that what I'm hearing? You're starting a band together?
You guys wanna like start a band? Did we do this?
Podcasting's fine and dandy.
It's got a great name.
But being a wandering, the money is being in a wandering minstrel. Really, I think that's kind of where the future is. Wandering minstrel.
Wandering minstrel.
A certain kind of minstrel. Some kinds of minstrels get canceled these days. I'm just saying. Really, just depends on what the.
No, we just can't do shows.
It depends on the color of the night you're singing about. Okay, this is definitely after party material.
Yeah.
To my point.
Are we done yet? Are we still in the plugs? What's happening?
I think we need to talk about These Are Bad Movies.
Okay.
Yeah. We haven't.
Yay.
Yeah. So Amanda, what's coming up on These Are Bad Movies to tease people to watch your show?
I don't know.
Or what just happened?
We're on break right now. We took a winter break.
Well, you just did something somewhat recently. I saw an episode come through on the feed. What was that last one you did? Fuck, I'll look it up.
I don't listen to the show. I'm there when we record it.
I don't listen to the show, she says. Amazing. Yeah, you're really selling it.
I'm there when we record it. I got YouTube videos to watch about Garfield. I don't know. Like,
more like these are unwatched episodes. Am I right?
Hey.
Oh, so the most recent one we have in the feed is actually For Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Good movie.
So bold stance.
Yeah.
And then we have some other ones recorded. That just
You did the
haven't been
Nicolas Cage
dropped
Wicker
yet.
Man one. That's the one I was thinking of. That was the one.
That was a fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
And didn't have the bee scene I wanted out of it.
Not the bees! Not the bees!
I'm so disappointed. There weren't enough bees in the movie, is my opinion.
I think
they should
I
do a
think that there could have
Kickstarter.
been-
Like, remember when Snakes on a Plane did a Kickstarter to put more snakes on the plane? They should have
No,
done a
you're-
Kickstarter
I
to
don't
put more bees in the
remember.
movie. They
Oh,
did.
God,
That's the thing
that
that
was
happened.
hilarious.
I would watch a remake of this movie, or like this kind of movie, you know what I mean? Like Sir Gawain and the Green Knight with Nicolas Cage in either role as Sir Gawain or the Green Knight.
He's
I
in
feel
his
like he would-
Renaissance era, y'all.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like you would absolutely kill it.
He's like, I avoided being called a Nepo baby because I changed my name from Coppola to Cage.
He did. He was smart for that.
Yeah.
That's because
Yeah.
I'm smart. He is a Coppola.
Yeah,
He is
by the way,
he's the nephew of the king.
I can't believe that you guys did an episode on Ender's Game and called it Ender's Lame because that was pretty awesome. I was like, oh yeah, respect. It was pretty
Yeah,
Ender's Lame.
sometimes we
frankly.
come up with good titles. Yeah.
good.
Basically, concept of the whole podcast is we take a movie, we talk about it, whether we like it or not, and talk about maybe some of the underlying ideas or ideologies, concepts that you might be buying into that you might not actually want to buy into if you're paying attention. So we've covered our favorite movies, movies we hate, all kinds of stuff. Didn't cover The Green Knight because it's just good, and we don't do the good ones.
You were good enough to have me on for Inside Man, and we all agreed that crime was awesome.
Yeah, I love
Engage
crime.
in
Crime's my
crime.
favorite.
In these
great.
days of being afraid of crime, I mean, who needs that? You should rob a night.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. That would never happen in Giuliani's round table.
Well, Giuliani is what Godwin would turn into, right? After he's after he's bailed out.
He just
he's
invokes 9/11 constantly when he's king.
But he invokes the Green Knight. He's like, that's what happened when I fought the Green Knight. The Green Knight, guys. I fought. and then
Jesus,
everyone
enough with
gets
the
really
Green
fun-
Knight
yeah, they're
already.
like,
You keep talking
I get
about
it. A lot of people died. Maybe. I don't know. Did they? I don't know. But we should probably go to final thoughts. Amanda, final thoughts about this movie.
Was that it, Andy? Do you have anything else? with
I
that?
hope so. I can't think of anything else.
Oh, poor Andy. Over there not coming.
Real knights don't come. Real knights take gas station supplements that make you last longer, but like handfuls of them.
You speak as if from experience.
I'm a real knight. What can I tell you? Amanda, do you have final thoughts?
I just want it to end. Can we change the subject?
I said, do you have final thoughts? I did.
Yeah. So now you're supposed to pivot towards any thoughts on the movie that maybe things we didn't get to or something you wanted to discuss.
Oh, okay.
This is
No, we
the serious
covered a
bit.
bunch of ground.
Yeah.
We covered a bunch of ground. Good movie. Would watch again. Would recommend. Guy sucks.
The guy does indeed suck.
It's not great.
He's not even a knight.
Yeah.
Kristina.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
This movie was fine. Dude was an idiot. He should have listened to the fox. Because you know what the fox says?
I don't think that's what the fox said, but
He also says give up.
yeah.
Exactly. That's why you should have listened to him. Because he's an idiot.
The fox is like give up. It's like the Shia LaBeouf thing where he's like
Gollum, man.
He's giving him the motivational speech, but his motivational speech is just like,
you suck.
Don't
You
do
can't
it.
do this.
Don't
Yeah.
do it.
You're terrible at this. Stop doing it.
No one expects you to do it.
It's okay to be a little bitch.
If you're going to have to prove yourself, you got to be smart when you're doing it.
Being a little bitch is within your wheelhouse. Stick to your wheelhouse.
Follow your bliss, says the fox.
Truly.
Stick to your lane. You know what I mean? Conan, final thoughts.
I think this is a fantastic movie. I love it. It's a man who is so busy trying to pursue being great that he forgets to be good. I think that it's absolutely gorgeous from a cinematography perspective, from a locations perspective. I see why it missed a lot of people. Especially, I wish it did have a chance to get a cultural moment where people got to see like these deep, gorgeous visuals, like a big screen together as a communal experience. If nothing else, just to hear for that one scene too. That would also be good.
What are we watching here?
Bobby, what the hell are we watching?
What is this? What are we watching here?
I think Dev Patel is fantastic at portraying the most inept and bad knight that we've ever seen depicted in cinema outside of a comedy. And I think that's important. And I've said it over and over again, but I love that you see in England under Arthur's reign that kind of blows. Everything sucks. Everyone's hungry, dirty, in a bad mood. Stuff's burning or desiccated.
Oh, it's like we shouldn't have a monarchy of some sort.
And that's why they kill off Arthur at 35 and like, you know, the actual canon, because it's Arthur at like 75 and everything fucking sucks.
Yeah, I mean, like he's like the crappy king in like House of the Dragon or something. We're like, oh god, man, you're just terrible at this. I like that you get a view of the world too. That you have this like Gnostic interpretation of like what's happening, and you get representation from like the witches and like the fact that this is being inflicted upon the world, and then maybe there's another way. It's sort of like, you know, has like shades of environmentalism as well as more of a humanism to it. I like it's all kind of oblique and weird, and you can miss a whole bunch of that because you're so busy looking at the broad strokes of it, so to speak. Am I right? That I was thinking axes, don't be dirty.
No, you weren't.
That there's more nuance for you to pick up if you do decide to watch it again, because it's a deeply immersive film, and it's crazy that it manages to pull off the fantastical adventure epic stuff, but centering a character that's pretty bad at his job. And I think that that's lovely, and I think that that's an important movie, and I hope that people do kind of come back to it, because I think he's a great filmmaker, and I like this movie a lot.
By the way, I was going to say AARP's best cover, Arthur at 75. But Andy, final thoughts.
Yeah, I love the fact that this really does go deep and hard into
Why? My guy.
Nando's gonna be like, dodge a bullet on this one. What are these clowns up to? All right,
I don't even know at this point. Yeah, no, I like how this really does lean into the to the original poem, and doesn't walk you through the 5 points of chivalry that you're supposed to follow. But like, if you actually know that stuff,
I mean, it has the titles, like the, you know, when he has like the exchange of
yeah, but it doesn't beat you over the head with an axe about it.
No,
you know?
for sure.
Yeah,
but I mean, but I've noticed that like the second time watching it through, it has like the exchange of whatever, like exchange of winnings thing, and like, you know, if you wanted to look like,
that's not what I'm talking about though. That's something totally different. That's what's great about it.
It's another movie night extravaganza. Snap correction.
Yeah, no, because like because each of his trials was a part of what chivalry is. And give me a second here, I got it written down.
Didn't he have like a pinnacle on his shield too, right? Like, and like there's a whole like the number 5 like loom is pretty large in this.
Yeah, and then you saw the pentagrams that kept showing up too. That was but like 5 was a repeating thing in the film, and it's a nice subtle nod to it. And the generosity, courtesy, friendship, chastity, and piety are the 5. I forgot to write that part down. What they're actually called.
Principles he's supposed to break.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. He thought you're supposed to break all those. So you're like, oh yeah, I need to do those things. Oh, nobody told me. I missed that. Because again, he skipped the tutorial.
And in the poem, he actually gets them right, except he doesn't do the last one, piety or whatever one he gets right at the end to get his head chopped off. Because he kept on the little sashes.
Yep. All right. Well, we're going to be going to the after party in a few minutes. I'm just gonna say, you're no knight.